Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, booters, shields, destabilizers, peasants, vassals, Shiites, Sunnis. I'm a useful idiot, and so turns out that Iraq is now supplying fuel oil to Assad's regime in Syria, and of course this is a follow-up development to a story last month that broke about Iranian planes shipping arms over Iraqi airspace to Assad's regime in Syria, and also allowing fuel supplies to reach Syria through Iraq. And now we have Iraq continuing to help support the Assad regime in Syria. And most of the spokesmen for the Iraqi government are keeping mum about this, but the paperwork is out there and proves that this is happening. And overall, not a surprise, because of course the Iraqi country used to be dominated by the minority Sunnis, and now, of course, since the American occupation, now the Shia majority dominate the country, which makes it completely akin to Iran, and also to the Assad regime in Syria, because they are the Shia minority that's ruling in Syria. So Maliki and Assad have a lot in common, so this shouldn't surprise anybody. But what this does show is that the layers of complexity of American involvement in the Middle East continue to reveal themselves. So in June and July, 2 shipments were shipped to Syria of fuel oil, costing $14 million and paid in cash by the cash-strapped Syrian regime. And overall, 720,000 tons of fuel oil will be shipped to Syria in monthly shipments as part of a 1-year supply contract. And this is being sold to them at a 50% discount on the market price. So they're getting a very good deal. So this is a direct Iraqi support for the Syrian government of Assad. So how interesting is that? Once again, we find ourselves, Iraq is a country that we are still in huge presence in the Baghdad Green Zone embassy, and we still have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of people in Iraq. And this is a country that, for all practical purposes, should be a U.S. vassal state. Yet we find them colluding with supposedly our 2 big arch enemies in the Middle East right now, Syria and Iran. And of course, they can say that this fuel oil that's going to Syria is for power generation, but I don't really know whether the fact is that Iraq would be supplying fuel oil for Syrian tanks that are marching on Aleppo, which would certainly be a good guess as well. So, anyway, but this is a good example of why our politics and our foreign policy in the Middle East is so very complicated, because everyone is using everyone else. As we've seen in Afghanistan with the green on blue killings, there is no love in the Muslim populations of these countries, for the most part, for Americans, or Americans certainly being there. And we will use them for useful idiots in our foreign policy machinations in that area, and those regimes will also use the United States for a useful idiot to take our money and then perpetrate whatever foreign policy they are interested in. And of course, in this case, it's Iraqi government supplying fuel oil to the Syrian regime of Assad. So, crazy world, huh? I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.